And hi guys, and welcome to the stream with me and Logan here as a guest once again. We're going to talk about this particular video, the latest video as of making of the stream of Endymion, and we're going to of course discuss the topic of female custodies and how he's presenting things. So hi to you, Logan.
Okay.
So basically guys, we have seen many videos of Endymion, and we usually love to watch him constantly because, you know, news that are from gaming, from Warhammer, whatever. We also are watching him for many reasons basically, but we also have noticed that he is presenting the truth a bit in a twisted way sometimes. Let's say that I did notice literally a manipulative language. He is talking with such voice, basically. It always has like one level, and if you don't listen to him very carefully, you'll probably miss a lot. We actually noticed because we started to pay more attention for the last, a few weeks basically, that in a lot of his videos he is trying to basically say something as fact where it's just not.
It's not a fact.
Yeah, and we're going to see exactly that with female custodies. And I see personally in my own life some people that are coming to me and are like, Gary, did you hear what happened? Warhammer is dead, Warhammer is this. And I'm like, oh, you know, at first I'm like, what happened?
It's like a reaction at the children that did you hear that this happens and this happens, and it's already a fact for them, but it's not.
Yeah, and then they say, oh, well, someone like Endymion, or there's another channel that pretends to be Endymion, basically, Zemion or whatever.
Something with Eon.
Yeah, he's literally doing clickbait all the time. It's making up stories like Henry Cavill quit Warhammer and whatever. I mean, it's one thing to speculate and say, hey, will Henry Cavill, that is something that I personally did. It's just like a essay, basically, to a point. Will he actually do this? Is it basically possible? So I'm literally talking about all the other news, but I'm basically calling them out, like pointing out that, no, that is actually not very feasible at the moment, and we don't have a ground to stand on. The point is that he's really misleading about some of the things that he is saying, and we're going to take a look now. The beginning of the video, some parts, I'm going to point out exactly what we mean with this, because otherwise we won't do this. And start.
What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and today I want to look into how certain players are working to change beloved properties into DEI-infested hellscapes. From Warhammer not being gay enough, an investment firm buying their way into Japanese manga, and companies vowing to modern audience their franchises, what's going on exactly? Firstly, Warhammer. There were these articles I've been holding on to that proves that these franchises can have diverse representation without it being hand-fisted or terrible. But regardless of giving people what they want, they simply decide against it. Firstly, from thegamer.com, please shut up about 40k's female custodies. This article was from a bit back, and it's pretty much this journalist telling everyone to accept female custodies within Warhammer because there's nothing wrong with it according to them.
Okay, so far so good. That is correct. I also opened the article, so that is correct so far, but continuing.
They drop the usual defense tactics like the official Warhammer account confirming that female custodies always existed. And they also recite the lore part of the book that pissed everyone off a few months back, which confirmed that custodies were in fact always female all of a sudden. As you already know, this sort of rhetoric has caused uproars and lots of discussion. But it's this one part here in the Gamer's article that kind of sparked this entire video, which is where they say this. Taken literally, this means that the very first custodian was a woman, and those that followed were a mix of different genders. However, I suspect that Warhammer means that there were female custodians among the first 10,000. Either way, it's a big retcon that some people are very mad about. The same quote as always is thrown around, which says that custodians are made from the sons of nobles. But none of these people know why the lore, up until this point, has been male-centric. So now the way that it's interpreted from the new lore books is that we went from having no female custodes to suddenly there have always been female custodes to now suggesting, did you actually know that the very first Adeptus Custodes was a woman all along?
Yeah. But what we shall find here is that he's continuing with that as if GW said that. He forgets to say that this is the woke people writing the article saying this is not the fact, it's not the lore, it's not anything like that. That the first custodian is female. Jesus.
That's just their wishful thinking. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So that's the first thing.
Of course, these changes are insane, and not for any good reason. It does nothing but anger the loyal fan base and cause them to react the way they should because this is obviously ridiculous. This is what I call cultural revisionism. Sure, Warhammer is not real, but nevertheless, the community at large exists because of their love of that universe. By doing this, you're taking something that people love and saying, well, we don't like how it is, so now we're gonna change it. And like always, when you give activists a few yards, they'll end up taking the entire field, which in this case is literally what is happening. Activists looked at Warhammer and went, what's one of the most popular factions?
I mean, so far, still, he's talking about the activist.
Yeah.
Then at some point it gets twisted into implying that this has always been the case. So taken literally, that's from the article. Now we're going to just poke at the article for a bit. So taken literally, this means that the very first custodian was a woman. How
does this mean, actually? Wasn't it just a text about a female custodian that was doing something, but they never said that it's the first or anything like that? This is...
Yes.
This is really taking it even just from the, the activist people.
Yeah, so basically the activist people are doing something that Endymioon is doing.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
They're just claiming things.
And
based on the previous information that they had is the same that Endymioon is doing. So truth, and all of a sudden a bit like a curve here and there, like just a bit.
He also said that he's been holding out to these articles, which means that he just waited for the moment all of a sudden, and now this article when it's actually now on old news. And he decides to make a new news from it all of a sudden. So he said, I'm going to keep this for after 3 weeks when it's not
it's from April.
Relevant anymore. It's even from April. So I mean, Jesus.
He just missed that part, which was the most outrageous.
And now all of a sudden we have that.
And he decided to do a video about it. And the title of the video is Games Workshop Panics as fans reject Warhammer 40k female agenda plus woke AI publisher ruins gaming. That's another topic. But Games Workshop did not panic as fans rejected Warhammer 40k female agenda. They did not panic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they didn't really panic.
Nor did they say that actually the first custodian was female.
I mean, they did raise a few of their own eyebrows.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they exactly panicked, but he is saying Games Workshop panics like right now.
Like right now.
They're panicking right
they
now.
Said, oh no, what have we done?
As fans reject blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That's what it just strikes me as disingenuous. That's the thing. And then the language that he uses, which we're going to get to, it's more of the problem. I understand everyone has to make titles that are enough interesting, but at least if they correspond to the truth, that will totally give them validity.
Yeah.
But if they don't correspond to the truth and it's just so like over the top, then I just feel that I'm being literally clickbaited into clicking on it, and then I'm listening to old news, and then I'm listening to that those old news are like factual now.
Yes, not only that they're old, it's a fact now.
Yeah, so. It's a fact like in general, and that this is nothing that GW actually confirmed. So the first custodian was not freaking female. That is absolutely brainwashing. Stupidity. So going just for a second to the article again, of course, woke people are writing stuff that are very misleading, and to come out with such a statement taken literally, this means that the very first custodian was a woman? How did they gather that? It was just
Yeah,
a random story. That was the whole problem, that this
exactly.
he has no coherence. They just dropped a story for the first time about a custodian that participated in the blood games, and well, she is not a he. Oh my gosh, it's a female, and that's super random.
Yeah.
So, how from super random story out of nowhere they came to the conclusion that, taken literally, they said, this means that the very first custodian was a woman. What are you doing? I mean, is this a professional journalism?
Yeah, it's
The
as
gamer?
if tomorrow someone created a story about a female superhero and they said, so taken literally, the very first superhero was a woman. We just decided like that all of a sudden,
Based
you
on
know,
what? Based
based on
on
what?
my
Yeah.
pajamas?
They never, nowhere in that short story they say that she was the first or anything like that. So, but again, Endymion says as if that's a fact when it's actually not a fact. Mm, That's just what the activists claim,
Yeah.
what they always do. And then, as we say, in a way, he's doing what they do because he claims that those things are facts now.
Okay, let's continue because Sunny interrupted us. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back a little bit.
The very first custodian was a woman, and those that followed were a mix of different genders. However, I suspect that Warhammer means that there were female custodians among the first 10,000. Either way, it's a big rec.
Yes, yeah, Jedi meant that there was female custodians among the first 10,000.
Yes.
That's what they meant.
Exactly.
And yeah, the other sentence that we missed is that they were a mix of different genders.
Yeah,
How
many...
did you gather that? Which genders? There's no many genders in the 40K. There's women and men in 40K.
That's it.
What are you talking about? I mean, there's a lot of problems in this article itself, but okay, continuing.
Con that some people are very mad about. The same quote as always is thrown around, which says that custodians are made from the sons of nobles. But none of these people know why the lore, up until this point, has been male-centric.
Because it's logical.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, that's enough.
Logic.
It's just logical that it's more male centric. It's not completely male centric. There's always for people that claim to not be sexist, they always forget the Sisters of Battle and Sisters of Silence,
Okay.
the female Inquisitors, and on and on and on. There's so many female characters in the 40K, so they conveniently left them out. So for
Yeah.
people that claim to not be sexist, they love to leave those characters and factions out completely, like they don't
Yeah,
exist.
none of them said why the Sisters of Battle are only female. Shouldn't we put a man inside or things like that?
Yeah, none
To
of
make
them.
him a bro of silence or something
Bro
like
of
that.
silence.
So,
Bro.
who would want a t-shirt with that? Guys,
Yeah.
yes. So, bro of silence, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
hi to Primal Gecko in the chat. Blade, I see you guys. I see you. Primal Gecko says women, men, and spores. Female Eldar. Yes, most of the famous Eldar are female. I'm not sure if it's most, but yeah, there's quite like women warriors there that are very cool. Okay, continuing. If you hear puppy barking, yes,
it's that one.
is that one. We're gonna mute and put Endymion on if that happens. Okay, continuing.
So now the way that it's interpreted from the new lore books is that we went from having no female custodes to suddenly there have always been female custodes to now suggesting, did you actually know that the very first Adeptus Custodes was a woman all along? Of course, these changes are insane and not for any good reason. It does nothing but anger the loyal fan base and cause them to react the way they should because this is obviously ridiculous.
Okay, but see here, that's the first time that
Yeah.
he worded this like it's a factual thing. He did not add anywhere there that this was about the woke people writing this article. He was like, this obvious is this and that, and
How is it obvious? How is
It's
it's
it is
not.
ridiculous. Yes, I agree. I just don't think that the way that he worded that is genuine, because it does sound that now this is a fact, that there's always been, and whatever. Just, yeah, let us hear it again.
Custodians are made from the sons of nobles. From the new lore books is that we went from having no female custodies to suddenly there have always been female custodies to now suggesting, did you actually know that the very first Adeptus Custodes was a woman all along? Of course, these changes are insane, and not for any good reason. It does nothing but anger the loyal fan base and cause them to react the way they should, because this is obviously ridiculous. This is what I call cultural revisionism. Sure, Warhammer is not real, but nevertheless, the community at large exists because of their love of that universe. By doing this, you're taking something that people love and saying, well, we don't like how it is, so now we're going to change it. And like always, when you give activists a few yards, they'll end up taking the entire field, which in this case is literally what is happening. Activists looked at Warhammer and went, what's one of the most popular factions? Custodes? Cool. Why are they all men? Let's put some women in there. Then obviously Games Workshop did nothing to stop these activists, so they naturally decided, well, if they're not going to stop us, we should just keep going. And now the first custody allegedly is now a woman. Funny how that works, doesn't it?
Okay, but it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not, because it's not. This has nothing to do with what GW said. Just nothing.
Absolutely
It's not a
nothing.
fact.
Yeah.
It did not
a fact.
happen.
So we can't say it's a fact when it's not a fact. So which is what he's doing. I mean, he's saying that that's a fact. GW said it.
Well, he didn't say GW
know,
said it,
No,
but the way
I
that
mean
he
that it
is
sounds
not,
like that.
yeah, it just sounds like that. That's the
Because if
issue.
it's a fact, then they must have said it. That's what people can think about it. Especially as you said, if people don't listen carefully, because
Yeah.
his videos are not the types of videos that you can casually walk around and do something, or even listening it as a podcast while you're outside. And you have to actually sit down and listen. Otherwise.
You can hear a lot of
You
stuff
can
that
hear
are
all the
not
stuff.
exactly like that,
Exactly,
and
yes.
just a very little change here and there can make the huge difference in how you perceive things. And people that are anti-woke and that want to fight against those changes and all of that, it's very important also for us to know the facts, because the minute that we are saying something that it's not true, that's on us, and we're going to look
Exactly.
ridiculous.
We shouldn't use their weapons, as they say. They always claim stuff, do things that are not facts, so we can't jump into everything to say, well, that's woke now, without actually having the clues for that. And I think we have to be better than them and not do what they are doing, so that in order to win the war, 'cause that's not winning. Again, if we use their methods, we are just like them.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna win anything by using half-truths.
Yes.
That's the point. And also, maybe 2 months ago, Endymion did the story about the Bretonian Knights book, that it was that it was a pedo story, and then I did that as well, because that is how it looked like, and not only I, but other people also did that. But then some people pointed in the comments that that was not actually the case, because there's more context to this passage of the book and all of that. And although the passage did look extremely damning, like absolutely, and that is why nobody had any reason to doubt it. Well, nobody did a retraction and changing,
Exactly.
correction of that. Nobody but me. I was the only one that decided to come out and make a video and say, hey guys, we were actually wrong. This is not a pedo story. It is totally gay. It's a gay story that does not belong in the context of the whole thing, just out of nowhere again, and does not contribute to the story. It's one of those things that are just shoved in there. It's not a testament to the good storytelling. It's just perfectly inserted woke thing into the book where it just does not belong, especially not in these times, and all of that. And it's using this boy's death to tell this. potential story. What would sorry, Bulgarian came out. What could have happened if he were to live? And all of a sudden you see this amazing scenario of how he's just getting to be a knight and all those things, and he's already have a huge love, yes, huge, amazing, passionate love with another
With
guy
another guy.
in medieval times. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that was the real story. That was what really happened. That was what this passage was actually about. But Endymion did not do any retraction of that.
Yeah, he never does actually. As we say, in the last couple of months, we caught him on doing things like that in his videos, that claiming that things are a fact when they're not. And then there is no retraction after that when actually the truth comes out. Nothing. Nothing happens. Or go to the next video, and
So
that's it.
people that just watch his video will probably think that there's still a pedo story in the Britannia Knights books.
Yeah.
One of them. So yeah, and there's other things. Right now there's the case of Eman G, who is the 40k fan who's being sued by 40k. I covered this like 2 days ago, around 2 days ago. And what we knew then is not what I knew now. I know now.
Yeah.
Now I know other things about the case. And I will do an actual video about that probably tomorrow, hopefully. I just want to get more of an information because this whole thing, it's like almost, I don't know, it's a habit. You know, we hear something, we jump on it,
Yeah.
and we make conclusions. So that's kind of like a separate of how we present the information. It's very important to present the information as seen and to say where this is coming from and not state things as fact if they're not fact. So it's important to present things genuinely. It's important to correct things if they need correcting, and it's important to not talk in such a way that you will be confused to what is the actual truth in this case. But oh, thanks, Trevor. Come here to get the truth. Well, thank you. That's kind of the point. So let's continue.
Games Workshop famously, before, demanded that all the lore be represented when it comes to the actual miniatures and sets that they sold to customers. But it seems that these days this matters little, and now anything or everything can be changed on a whim, like I joked a few months back. It's only a matter of time before female space marines or the Emperor of Mankind turns trans or a woman. It's not a matter of if, but when at this point.
Okay, this is what I also have a
Yeah.
huge problem with, because he's literally now continuing on and on. It's not
With
about the
his
story.
Theorizing.
Yeah, he's theorizing, but it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
How can you be sure? This is all about the sensation. That is the thing that I find disingenuous, because it's one thing to speculate. We all do that. It's good to think out loud, to think what is possible, but it is clear that's just a speculation. We cannot say honestly, truth to ourselves and honest with ourselves that this surely will happen. This surely will
Exactly.
It's just for sensation. That is what
Absolutely.
this is.
If we are sure, that means that we give up on the hobby and the whole thing. That means that we think, yeah, no matter what we do, it's just a matter of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Although we don't actually have enough proof to go on.
Exactly.
He also will say other things as well. So let's continue. I will just go back a little bit because he did say one thing.
Stop us, we should just keep going. And now the first custody allegedly is now a woman. Funny how that works, doesn't it? Games Workshop famously, before, demanded that all the lore be represented when it comes to the actual miniatures and sets that they sold to customers. But it seems that these days this matters little, and now anything or everything can be changed on a whim, like I joked a few months back.
No, because they won't make female custodies miniatures, at least not for foreseeable future. So that's also like out of his butt a bit.
Yeah.
They don't change things that often and on a whim. There's a lot of things that are concrete. still, and custodies, if you see them on tabletop, they will still be custodies.
And he even actually doesn't know all that much about the universe. He started to do videos about that when
Just because it's
when
popular.
the sensation started to, you know, happen. And that's why, as Trevor said in the comments, it's got to be grandiose with this guy. Exactly. Yes. That's what he wants. That's why his the names of his videos are always things like mass exodus, people panic, you know,
There's always
Magneto is
mass
taking
there.
over. Magneto is taking over the world. You know, Doctor Doom is coming. Things like
Well,
that.
not
So
literally, but
yeah.
but stuff like that, yeah.
It's only a matter of time before female space marines or the Emperor of Mankind turns trans or a woman. It's not a matter of if, but when at this point. This Warhammer story, which I'll cover even later in this video, it also coincides with another story recently that I was reading about that kind of echoes this whole sentiment of making stuff for modern audiences. This one comes from Bounding into Comics. Embracer Group says they want to use AI to help avoid bias in game design. This was detailed in Embracer Group's annual report for fiscal years 2023 and 4. In this report, they detail exactly what this AI is meant to do. They said, create more engaging and immersive experiences that provide each player with a unique, dynamic, and personalized experience. We also see great opportunities for AI in game development, speed, logistics, and planning. Then there's Thomas Hedman, who's the head of privacy and AI for Embracer Group as a whole, and he clarified what this AI bias thing meant. He said, AI is trained on historical data which tilts in a certain direction. As a result, you can end up with imbalanced automated decision making. Let's say you're building a village. If you use AI for this, depending on how it's trained and the decisions that it takes, you may end up with a village that displays some sort of imbalance. What Thomas Hedman is saying is that Embracer Group wants to use AI to do things like populate in-game villages and towns to make it easier for developers.
Yeah, that's totally another topic, and it's horrible.
It's probably how Ubisoft created Japan in Assassin's Creed Shadows. That is not Japan at all. But okay,
Yeah.
probably that's how they did it. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna skip ahead, like where's the points.
However, be how Europe would largely. So what you're witnessing these days, in many parts, is the revisionism of both cultural, lore, and societal structures to find new woke ideals, and nothing is the better for it. Embracer, after all, has laid off plenty of people this year already, almost 100 back in January 2024, and they cancelled the next Deus Ex game as well. Then they also laid off almost 1,400 people again in February, which, by the way, that equates to around 8% of Embracer's entire workforce being let go. They say it's to restructure and make the business more profitable and how the studio is going, but that doesn't define their character, nor should it. The reason why such representation works is because the gay character in question is viewed as a living human being who is far more than just their sexuality. These days, a gay character must tell you they're gay, have a flamboyant voice, or have some sort of physical visual cue to their body somewhere to signify to the viewer that they are gay. Maybe a bright colored haircut, a rainbow pin on their jacket, there needs to be something. Wargamer even dismantles the argument that there must be more LGBT representation for Warhammer in their own article where they say this. That said, it doesn't mean they don't exist. In fact, for such a grim setting, 40K does LGBTQ+ representation surprisingly well by having brilliant characters whose queerness is incidental. That last word there is pivotal to all of this. The LGBTQ+ representation is good because it is incidental. It's not the focus of the story or anything, it just happens to be there.
Yeah, we do agree about that.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, we do agree in general that if you're going to put any gay characters, they have to make sense, they have to contribute to the story, and
Exactly,
their
yeah.
sexuality should not be their freaking end all be all identity. That should not define them. They should have a lot of other qualities, and the sexuality is just there. It's their intimate thing that should not be shared
Yeah. Not
when
something to be
doesn't need to.
paraded around and all stuff like that, and to make, you know, the force female or other things like that. Yeah. So exactly, your character needs to have those things incidental,
Yeah.
not just as a focus of your story.
Daniel says, can't tell me Fulgrim is straight. Well, there's. He's now probably not, because he's a freaking demon of Slaanesh. He can do whatever the heck he wants, and he will try everything and anything, basically.
Yeah.
But that's just, again, it's a speculation, because I never read such a thing. So let's not, copy Endymion in terms of speculation. I mean,
Yeah.
it's logical that he maybe should be everything now, but who the heck knows, really? Because at the end of the book, Fulgrim, his body was taken by the demon, and Fulgrim himself was left to be trapped in his own mind. So he's not even making the decisions here. It's the demon that possessed his body, because Fulgrim allowed him to, and he regretted it in that very same minute. That was very interesting and pivotal story of the book and about him. So you can't really say even that Fulgrim himself is gay, because he can't even make any decisions. He's just trapped in his body. The demon is doing everything instead of him. So, yeah.
I've talked to and interacted with gay people pretty much all of my life. I know they exist. Like, I have a friend that I send memes to and talk to daily, and he is the gayest man alive. But he's more than the fact that he's gay. He's a human being. The thing that companies don't seem to understand is that you're placing gay people into a box by representing them in these overtly outlandish and downright cartoonish ways. Rainbow flags everywhere, kissing all the time. Why can't you just make a good character first? Then if they're gay, they're gay.
Yeah, we also agree with that.
Yes, exactly. As we said before, I have also friends who are gays, and they're exactly like that, normal, sane people that don't care about this parading around TV shows. They just like the characters, like the stories. One of them hates what is happening with Star Wars now, because he used to like it. Now he says that it's total trash. So here we go.
Yeah. Walt is here. Gay. Daniel says here, I was joking. Okay, but I do have to clarify, because we never actually thought about that anyway, about Fulgrim. But because I'm sure that many people, the woke people, are going to use him as ammunition against us at some point. They will be
Yeah.
like, he's gay. Or we can use him as an ammunition to say, oh, wait, there is
Yes.
actually a character that is gay. It's one of the Primarchs, and it's Fulgrim, but we can't even say that once again, guys, because we have to be objective.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the point of everything that we're trying to say here today. So,
That we shouldn't make and take stuff out of our
yeah.
behinds,
Yeah, it just matters.
It should be the truth.
That the truth is the only thing that matters.
That's
Not they pulling the rug, we are pulling the rug. They are pulling the rug, we are pulling the rug.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. We can't be like the kids when some parents give an advice. If a child goes to a parent and say, "Mom, he hit me. What should I do?" Well, hit him back. So I mean that
Very
doesn't
mature.
always work as we say.
How
So we
mature.
shouldn't be. But if the woke people are doing it, then what's the problem? We should do it. The problem is that we are not genuine. We are not. We don't have integrity if we use those methods. So yeah.
Yeah, and also is the one of the latest videos of Metatron. You know, he was.
It's time for it.
It's time for that. Okay, hold on. So, Metatron is great. So he's actually a great example of how you can make great titles that are really presenting in a way of what he is actually showing and talking about in his videos. And one of the latest videos, which is probably the previous one by this point, he was reading some stuff about swords that some people wrote, and obviously they weren't actually the brightest ever. And in the middle of like the sentence, like not in the middle, but like between two sentences, there was the exclamation point. How's the word for that?
Kind of like an exclamation point, yeah.
Yeah, it just said gah.
Gah. Gah.
And he's like, what is this? Let all the people that are native English speakers explain to me what that is. And he's like, I'm going to say that throughout the video when I read something stupid. And he's like, gah.
So every time we hear a stupid woke thing, we could just say "gah."
It's just
Or any
so
stupid thing.
hilarious. I died out of laughing throughout this video. I didn't hear half of the things about Source because I was just saying for him to say God.
Imagine it on a t-shirt with gigantic letters "gah."
And everybody will wonder what the heck that is.
We can put Metatron somewhere so that people
Yeah,
know.
we have to. We have to. Girl, we must thank God that we live in an AU. Yeah, in general,
In general,
yes.
yeah.
I'm really happy that I'm not living in America. No offense, guys. It's just that to us from Europe, it just seems very, very dangerous and very, very unsafe. And yeah, just how it seems. Not that Europe is perfectly safe, but I mean, depending on where you live, it could be. So
Yeah.
there's that. Okay, continuing.
Maybe it ties back to that embracer bias of their AI, but I think gay people can act just as normal as anybody else. Unfortunately, too many things these days do the exact opposite, and instead being gay or whatever else is the focal point instead of the actual story or characters. Like I said, Wargamer kinda dismantled their whole argument for gay representation with the title of the article, and it's true. Warhammer's LGBTQ representation worked at the time anyways. By the way, this article is a year old, but that's why I'm sharing it here on purpose. Because I want to show you how these concepts and ideas existed within Warhammer then compared to now. Then it was incidental, it was not in your face, it was just a part of some characters and that's it. Now the goalposts have shifted and the changes are more direct and apparent, like female custodies for example. The key to good representation is not to make it feel like it's being placed there on purpose in order to check boxes. When someone asks you how do you want a story to present a gay character, tell them to look at straight characters in any work and say, like that. Game of Thrones, for example, Jon Snow is a straight guy. We know because he sleeps with women, obviously. But we never needed Jon to stare directly into the camera and say, hey, did you know I'm straight? Because I'm straight, guys. Him being straight, it felt natural and it made sense in the story. That's what a gay character needs to be. They don't need to have pink hair, a septum piercing with Black Lives Matter on their jean jacket with a trans pin for all to see. That feels forced, it feels inauthentic, and yet again, just using gay characters to prop up agendas instead of allowing a character to just be who they are. When it comes to Warhammer, what matters the most is authenticity and to maintain the allure of the grim dark fantasy setting above all else. The characters within these stories are almost not as important as the overall grand picture of what they're actually living through. Plus, let's be honest guys, Warhammer 40k's universe is pretty much a reversed, science fiction-esque modern world. Humanity within Warhammer went from being religious medieval peasants to modern society happening. Then eventually, thousands of years into the future, hence the 40k in the name, humanity ultimately reverted back to an almost religious-like zealot state of society again. Sure, humanity could travel the cosmos and all that, but I think what Warhammer, at least from the human side anyways, proved is that a common united ideology was needed to bring all of humanity into a singular, uninterrupted group. Not necessarily because they wanted to, but because they had to due to the existence of otherworldly threats. It's sort of like how I always imagined if aliens were to just suddenly land on Earth, right? That would immediately become the most prominent moment in human history for all of us living today. It would obviously confirm that we're not alone, life outside exists and all of that, but it would also make whatever trivial differences or whatnot you or I talk about suddenly just fade away as if they never mattered anymore. It would no longer be you are American, I am Canadian, this person is from Russia, and that guy over there is from Argentina. In the face of an alien threat, we would all collectively agree that we are humanity, and that's it. And that's how I always looked at Warhammer's world, and that the society the Emperor of Mankind has fostered is kind of in a way a hyper-futuristic form of what I can only call uber religion, pretty much. Not only the fact you have characters referred to in terms like Inquisitors, but even the way the armor looks for many of these factions echoes that medieval European knight aesthetic. And frankly, in the wake of humanity discovering that there's this crazy threat out there called the Warp, it would make sense for humanity to become unified under one banner in order to fight back.
Okay, I mean, I agree with most of that pretty much. But then, the Emperor just united humanity because he wanted to unite humanity.
Mhm.
He wanted to rule everything. and then it's the afterthought of all the other civilizations, and there was already humans on all the other planets, and he had to go and conquer that as well. Unification wars, all those things. So it's a bit like it's not exactly the aliens came, so we have to unify. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's just the Emperor. He felt strongly about all of this. Eventually, he found Malkador, the Sigillite, and Malkador was like, "Hey, you should be the Emperor." Yeah,
You right there.
you.
We want you to be the emperor.
And he's like, "Oh, okay, and you're perpetual, and I'm perpetual, and let's gather other perpetuals. Let's do something here, you know." So this was like a growing thing. This is not another sci-fi universe like everything else.
Yeah.
It's not the scenario the aliens came and we have to unify. So once again, Endymion, you know, you gotta be a bit more, you know, informed, not to compare
Yeah.
things this way, because that's not. That's where are you going with this?
Yeah, I mean, he says, let's be honest, and then he says what he thinks the universe is about.
And it's not honest.
And it's not actually that, yes.
Okay, well, it says people in the Warhammer universe can't afford that Emperor needs cannon fodder. 2 days can't make a baby. What?
2 gays.
2 gays can't make a baby. Yeah. That's also, yeah. So basically, it's not productive.
Yeah.
You know, to have, yeah. Okay, 40K is like the Dark Ages and Middle Ages mixed with sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah, you can say that, but definitely it's not the case of the aliens came, so we must unify. I have a hatred for extremists. Well, in general, it's not a good thing. That's why we are here today, because
Because that's happened.
that is actually happening now. Since 2010 or 2016, not sure anymore. Exactly, his passion of human race, yes. And be superior in the universe. Yeah, so it's kind of like we are going there and knocking on aliens' doors and be like, "Hey, we are the aliens. We come to invade you."
This time it's us. Yeah.
Yeah, the Emperor said so. So we're doing it. Yeah, you know.
By loyal decree.
By a loyal decree, yeah, so it's all justified and whoopity-doo. Perfect.
It would be nice if they say whoopity-doo.
Yeah.
And everyone else, oh, okay, then we give up because it's whoopity-doo. Oops,
Yeah.
a daisy.
That would make things a lot better for all aliens.
Singing Kumbaya together.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's not mention all the human wars that were brutally conquered by the Emperor if they did not comply. Alien, you mean? Races can live as long as they see and view humanity as a superior race and such. Well, not a superior race? Are you kidding me? We're literally called a Monkai from the Eldar, and orcs are like, puh, human, basically. And the Necrons, they also think that we are puny humans, like the Hulk would say.
When
and a lot of other bad things.
when a spore or a mushroom spits on you, you know that things are not okay.
Yeah. And the Pterodactyl just goes through you and eats you up. So there's that.
Yeah.
Lots of respect in that, you know.
And that simplicity amongst the chaos is what makes Warhammer captivating, but sadly, when it comes to our time today in this world,
Excuse me, simplicity amongst the chaos. It's complicated. This whole world is very, very complicated.
Very yeah.
It's, what's the word, intricate?
Intricate?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, it's complicated.
Yeah.
English today. Okay. Continue.
the activists are not being respectful of Warhammer's lore or concepts, and instead they are injecting their real-world politics into a setting that is thousands of years in the future that would not acknowledge these ideas. In Warhammer, if some character told another, "Hey, I'm gay and these are my pronouns," they would just look at them and say, "I don't care. The warp is going to kill us all, so stay vigilant and shut up." And I think with the whole female custodies nonsense, it's changing the mystique of a massive faction and in turn ruining the allure of the stories by doing so. And there are people out there who will never stop to ruin what we love to fit agendas. This moves us to the next big story here, which comes from Fandom Pulse, and it's titled, Blackstone bought a major manga producing company, and Japanese comic fans
We're going to skip that.
Yeah, that part we don't need for now.
That is bad, though.
Yeah.
It's very
mean,
bad.
if they go to the Japanese people and also occupy them, then
That's not.
wouldn't be okay.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't like if Goku all of a sudden is they or them or something like that.
Jesus.
Because he's an alien technically, you know. So let's hope not.
Yeah, okay. Continuing.
at you. It's only a matter of time before Marvel turns Peter Parker gay for Harry Osborn or something, and at this point, nothing would really surprise me. Even Ubisoft recently stated that they want to modernize their. The first one is apparently today, which is that activists will find a way to corrupt and destroy everything you love and hold dear by turning it into something completely unrecognizable over time. Warhammer was too male-centric, too based, and not woke enough. Now your custodians are women, and the first one is apparently likely a woman too.
Okay.
Only she's not.
Here's another, here's one of those things. Yeah, another example. How he is saying things. Custodians are now women. No. Some custodians are now women. The first custody is a woman. No.
No.
Not at all. There's no such thing. The fact that I mean, why would you want, Endymion, why would you want to say things like that? Like they're a fact, where basically you're saying that these guys that wrote this article can now declare canon all of a sudden? Why are you giving the woke such power? That is how it comes out.
Exactly.
As.
And it comes out as if he already gave up because he always says, so by this point, nothing would surprise me. It's going to happen, you know. How exactly you're going to fight against that if you already believe and you always be, well, I told you that it happened. You know?
No, I don't think that he believes it. I just think that he is trying to make a sensation out of everything.
Probably.
So we are shocked and appalled and all of those things. I mean, we do have a lot of reasons to be shocked and appalled anyway. We don't need to be feeling the feeling of desperation and that we already lost this. That's not helping at all. Plus, if Peter Parker becomes gay and he's gay for Harry Osborn or something, like, what? Where is this coming from? I mean, I know that is not impossible, but you know, that is one of the worst things that can happen to a very famous fictional character. So once again, he's trying to hit the worst thing possible.
It would be out of nowhere. So again, let's take this. I'm going to say about this famous character, and here is what can happen. Yeah. So again, really the worst point, so that people are shocked and say, "Oh my God, this really? What if really this happens?"
Yeah. Continuing.
Just look at nonsense like American comics. How many characters now are just suddenly gay out of nowhere? Pretty much all of them. How is that not screaming agenda at you? It's only a matter of time before Marvel turns Peter Parker gay for Harry Osborn or something, and at this point, nothing would really surprise me. Even Ubisoft recently stated that they want to modernize their previous Assassin's Creed games. Some would think, well, that just means controls and then making the graphics better, but come on guys, this is Ubisoft, the birthplace of Sweet Baby Inc. There's no way they don't find a way to ruin and uglify everything in these remakes somehow. Would I love a remake of Assassin's Creed 1 or 2? Absolutely. Do I think Ubisoft will do it faithfully without ruining it? Absolutely not. The sad reality is that I genuinely don't believe most, if not all, westernized companies and developers are even capable of creating anything that isn't filled with this kind of stuff anymore. The simple reason being is that many up-and-coming game developers are taught these very woke things from an entry level. So from the get-go, as more and more people get into game dev, the likelihood, in the West anyway, is that these new hires that will eventually work at these westernized studios have been conditioned to believe that this way of making games and injecting DEI is not really an option, it is simply the new normal now. Which is why whenever you hear a company say we're making this for the modern audience, that's political talk for we're going over everything with a fine comb and picking out anything that would offend people who were raised with victimhood mindsets.
That's a lot more objective to say all of that. And yeah, I am worried personally about Assassin's Creed because it's one of my favorite gaming franchises. So that's more possible if Ubisoft continues to listen.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see what people are saying because we are at the end of this and there's a bit more here. Japan gonna riot? They already have
They
with
already have,
Assassin's
yeah,
Creed, and
basically
it's
that.
pretty much glorious. They are really hitting the nail on the head with
Yes.
Assassin's Creed.
All the Japanese samurais, the real samurais, will riot, you know, not
Yeah.
the samurais that are in that game. Yeah.
Yeah. Tourists, which these YouTubers like Bricky and think they know everything. Uh, yeah, sometimes that's the case. I mean, I cannot never generalize. I mean, I know what Bricky is doing, but Endymion, like we said, just came into Warhammer just a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
months ago, and now
exactly.
he's making statements like that and uh, making the truth a bit curvier, and all of a sudden you're thinking that there's literally all stories are female now, and the first one was a female, which
I
it's not
mean, in
the
his first
case.
video about that, he couldn't even say custodes, right? He
Yeah,
said custodes several times,
totes.
you know.
Yeah, that is how most
So,
people that are not actually in Warhammer said wrongly. Custodies. Who else? Um, the quartering. Yeah, the quartering ones.
oh, he said custodes too.
Yeah, also, also. Doodle had you, but they don't read a single book. Yes, even Warwar, he said he doesn't have time to read books. He only listens to audiobooks, and he's a big fan of Fists. Yes, he's a big fan of Imperial Fists. I know. Well, to read the book and to listen to a book, it's absolutely the same thing, especially when it comes to Warhammer. I'm also listening to the books and I'm taking notes while listening to the book. If there's anything that's very notable, I'm gonna, write it down because that is the way that I would do if I read the book. So, what is the difference between me listening to the book and reading the
Yeah,
book?
especially when you're busy actually doing the work and things like that. So
I mean, I learned
it's
all the
still,
lore for 3 years with a lot of listening, very, very carefully.
yeah, exactly.
So, I don't need to sit down. If I were to sit down, I would never actually do this. I would never able
Yeah,
to get into Warhammer at all
it's from
because I
person to
don't have
person,
time.
exactly. There are
Yeah.
people who actually will have time to sit down and read it, but if they really don't read carefully things like that, again, they're not going to know everything. They will forget right after they finish. What did I just read?
Yeah, that's
So
the same with listening. You can read
exactly.
it and nothing will
Yeah.
hit here. Like
Everything
nothing.
I know about comic books and the comic book characters, it's not just because I read a ton of comic books and things like that. I also look for other information. I watch documentaries, listen to some of the creators and things like that. Getting inside the, character's personality, and that's it, which doesn't need to be all just with reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, a true fan is a true fan because he or she will do it the way that he or she feels that is the correct way to do it.
The way
Whether
it
is it
works.
listening, the way it works for you personally.
Reading exercise memory. Well, also my listening also exercise
Listening also
memory,
does that, yeah.
especially when I'm trying to write it down so I can actually make a review of the book because I did a lot of the Horse Heresy books that
Exactly.
I actually went through. I did a thorough review analysis of a lot of things that nobody else freaking did in that way
Yeah.
on YouTube.
I had classmates a long time ago who were reading a lot of books, but they could not remember anything in history. So, and there you go. How you exercise the memory is actually, again, depends from person to person. Uh, Most of my students, and actually every student and every teacher will tell you that every student has different needs in learning. For some of them, they have to actually get up, going to the board and do it practically, so that they say, so this is it how you do it, okay. Others can just listen to you. They don't have to write all the words or things you tell them. They just need to listen to you and they remember. Some of them need to actually write the stuff down, otherwise listening it's not working for them. Others need to read it. Depends. The moment you see the person, you know, oh, this is what you need, this is what you need. And that's also what we need to know about us. What does it work for you? Do you have the time to listen or to read, or what is it? So find a way. That's it. There is no just one thing, oh, reading, greatest thing of all. It is great, but it's not the only way.
Yeah, it's never the only way. Yeah, hi to to MR, Murtube. You can say it better than
YouTube.
me. Yes. Just all this for a drop of cloud. Basically, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Audiobooks while painting. Okay. You will remember more from book than from listening to a recording. Well,
But you're
like we said,
listening
no.
the same book, right? I mean, it's the same book that you will read. So here you go. It depends again of you.
Yeah.
Um,
People says I agree about memory, but if you are just painting and modeling, then listening to books or even border prints, etc., is fine. It's all supposed to be relaxing. It's a hobby. No need for snobbery. Yeah, that too. But for me, if I'm doing a review of a book, I can do a lot of things while listening to the book, but I still have to be focused enough. And if I don't understand anything, I'm going back to the
yes.
previous place where I didn't get what was happening, and I'm listening to that again. And I'm going to do the same if I was reading a book. If I didn't get anything, if I missed something, because especially in the first Warhammer books that I have listened to, there are so many details that were ridiculous, to the point where I was zoning out, and the book was losing my attention. Like the freaking fly on the wall and the wings of the fly and the how the wings are glistening or something, and in the same time there's an Astarte under it, and he is like with his dark armor, and I'm like, can we get to the scene? Like, what is happening in the scene? I still have no idea. I forgot by this point. Jesus, I mean, some authors are like that,
Yeah,
so
yeah. No, I mean, I like Lord of the Rings, the books, but at the beginning there were moments you really just I fall asleep by, and then they were walking the forest and the stones and this and the goblet of the spider in the cave, and I was saying, can you just give them the weapons and say you can have my axe and you can have my sword and go on. This is really, I know it's great books, but really sometimes you don't have to be so detailed, really.
yeah, I mean, we can get the scene. Also, it's an art if you can describe something by not detailing every detail and every detail
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
everything that is a detail on the
exactly.
detail. Okay, continuing.
Assassin's Creed, at least the first one anyway, likely can't be modern audience that hard. So if you played Mirage like I did, you noticed that in Japan is so far away from what fans actually want from the series. The cynical part of my brain does come back and think, well, even if they lay off these woke developers, if the new hires are being trained this way, wouldn't that mean even if they were forced to make non-DEI stuff, they wouldn't really know how to approach it anyway? Since all they know really is identity politics, so are games screwed forever then? I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that is interesting because the people that were not woke before, that didn't know what DI is, like we didn't, they are used to the normal things. So why
Yeah.
would they not know the normal things? They know very well how it is. Just make things normal, don't push anything, and that's it. It's really a lot easier than to try to push whatever it is, because just make it as it is. Yasuke should not be Yasuke. He should be just a Japanese man. It's
Or,
easy.
or apparently, because from the footage here I saw, apparently he's not even a normal human because there was an attack in which he stomped and he made tidal wave on the ground to, spread all the other samurais and say, well, is he having superpowers or because he's bigger than them or what is happening now? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, just a little.
Yet anyway. There are bright spots, but the ever looming shadow that is the agenda is always present and it wants to consume everything. And it's up to all of us to keep saying no, no matter what. And in terms of Warhammer, I'm telling you guys, it's only a matter of time before a Space Marine takes his helmet off and it's a lesbian, half-shaven haircut, septum ring, thin eyebrow monstrosity who has a gap in their front tooth and a body like a cafeteria lunch lady. I know people are hyped for Space Marine 2, but man, my cynical brain is telling me there's gonna be female Space Marines in there somehow. I just know it. Or they'll just cloak and dagger it with the online multiplayer mode by offering body type A or B options, which is just stealthily introducing female Space Marines also. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but the future is looking bleak, my friends. Not a very uplifting video, I know. I'll try to find more positive news for a future video. But what do you think about all of this? Let me know in the
Okay, so this last part was extremely disingenuous to me.
Yeah.
Like, again, the sensation, like the most, he listed the most horrifying things that we can imagine. That is how he does it every time. And this is pure speculation. I just know it. And, it's, once again, it's one thing to state something as fact. I just know it. And it's another to be like, this could happen, this could happen. Yeah, it doesn't sound as sensational, and maybe you'll not be watching that much, but at least you won't be lied to, like in your face. And then he'll probably say speculation, but it's a manipulative
Absolutely, yes.
language.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I really doubt, like, I really doubt that GW will go that far. That's gonna be totally destroying everything
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Warhammer
Yeah.
is.
Not even in the TV show and the movies that they really think that they won't go that far.
They know what sells.
Exactly. Yeah.
Space Marines
Yes,
sell, not
exactly.
Space Girl Marines.
Yeah.
Sisters of Battle, they have their fans. They're compelling, all of that. It's just that they're not as popular. They are not the thing that it is selling as much as Space
Exactly.
Marines.
I mean, just like that's why you have more Batman comic books out there than Nightwing, for example. I mean, that's why you have more Batman figures. That's what it sells.
Yeah,
So
there's nothing wrong with that. They're just
absolutely.
more, they're just a bit cooler, because they're
Yeah.
big, muscular dudes and huge armor and all of that. Okay, guys, let's see your comments here. Being paid by the world has that effect, yeah. Concerning Diskins, not sure
Well,
what that is. And everything depends on the author. Some are excellent, a lot are not at all. It will be more bearable you listen to it and then read it. No? I mean, I'm not sure what you mean there. If I don't have the freaking physical time to sit down on my butt to read a book, then I don't have the physical time to do it. I really don't. Like, that's a real thing.
Yep, depends on the person again. Because won't say, oh, you work in a special school. No, I work in a normal school, and still every student has its different needs to study.
Well,
That's what I meant.
it's a
It's an English teaching school, I mean,
yeah,
but it's not for kids with special needs or things like that.
yeah,
Just every student, no matter normal or not, has different needs on how you're going to give him the material or her the material. That's what I meant too. It's for some people really just like her cannot sit on one place and you to tell, okay, now you have to sit here for 2 hours and read this. No, you have to see, is that your way? No, it's not. You're not going to do it. Okay, so listen to it, walk around, have a podcast. I usually tell them, do you watch YouTube? Do you have favorite podcasts? Yeah, okay. And I say, okay, then now you listen to it in English while you're walking down to your football game or things like that, and that's it.
yeah.
As we say.
And we
Yeah.
both actually, by coincidence, I guess, we learn English by watching a lot of cartoons when we
Yes.
are little kids. That's how we
Exactly.
learned English. Only by
Yes.
listening to it.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
it.
Only that's yeah.
So yeah,
So in schools in Bulgaria back then this wasn't let's say very
very good.
high classes. Yeah, I mean it's still not. You need to go into a school that is just for those things, like educational centers or things like that, like in what I work.
It's
Yeah.
a good thing that we never had to do anything.
Absolutely, yes.
Basically nothing. So Abnet is solid, full stop. Yeah, I like Dan Abnet. I have no complaints with him, really. He writes much more than Warhammer. Yeah, some comic books as well.
Some comic books, yeah. He also worked for Marvel and DC, which also had good stories for them.
Hale is good. So many of the others are less so, and some of the writers that before were not woke now are woke, and they were also good. So yeah, unfortunately they're not woke. So till next time, guys, I'm going to try to cover MNG as well, what the story is currently looking like as soon as possible. Love you guys, from me and Logan. Bye bye.